He's coming for you. He's coming for you. Look, talking of all you perverts, it was a big year. It was a big year for paedophile movies. Surviving R. Kelly, Leaving Neverland, Two Popes. Shut up. Shut up. I don't care. I don't care.
Most people don't want to cross the psychological line that this stuff is going on. And we all have a mental defense mechanism. It's like finally admitting there's an elite pedophile ring. I mean, most people just don't want to go there. And the same is here. Psychologically, you lose your safety, your security, and whatever innocence you have when you realize that this stuff is really going on. And it's a chore to cross over that barrier and realize, oh my gosh, this stuff is really happening. And that's why it takes critical thinking. The people have got to look at this stuff critically and see what they're being fed so they can cross that psychological line that they just refuse to see it when it's right in front of them.
We're involved in sex work, all right? Some of them are young, they're kind of like, someone like 15, 14.
Minors are always accepted without parental consent.
Okay.
The only thing that you do have to be careful is, if they are a minor, we are obligated, if we hear any certain information, to kind of report. 14 and under, we have to report.
14 under. That includes being 14, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
14, once they get to 15, then there's a little bit more playroom. So as long as they just lie and say, oh, he's 15, 16, as long as they don't say 14, and as long as it's not too much of an age gap, then we just kind of play.
What if they do say they're 14?
You never got this from me, just to make all of our lives easier.
Okay.
If they're 14 and under, just send them right there if they need an abortion. Okay. Here's the thing too. If they're minors, just tell them to put down that they're students.
Students?
Yeah, just kind of play along that they're students. We want to make it look as legit as possible.
Yeah.
This is actually just a minor's rights. This way you guys have a copy of
Oh,
this.
good. And
you already kind of know before you get into any situation, like, oh, all right.
if it comes down that they do need an abortion, how long till they can be sexually active again?
Minimum 2 weeks.
Minimum 2 weeks.
Minimum 2 weeks.
Do you maybe have any suggestions about what else they could do in the time? Because
I mean, they still got to make money, you know?
Yeah, waist up.
Waist up.
Waist up.
Okay.
Or just be that extra action walking by. We'll work something out, but then I can take care of you girls too.
All right.
Not a problem.
There are causes worth losing over, and this is one. I will share with you on the unlimited power of child.
Former State Senator Nancy Schaefer and her husband Bruce were found dead today at their Havisham County home.
They're searching for clues that might tell them what led to the sudden and violent deaths of Miss Schaefer and her husband. The bodies of former State Senator Nancy Schaefer and her husband Bruce were found today at their Havisham County home. Investigators say both had been shot.
Preliminarily, it looks to be a murder-suicide.
And after 4 years of viewing the ruthless and unsparing actions of Child Protective Services, also called CPS, which I will use tonight, I wrote a scathing report entitled The Corrupt Business of Child Protective Services. The report cost me my Senate seat. However, there are causes worth losing over. And this is one. Tonight, I'm talking about those children removed from their homes intentionally for profit. Children are seized unnecessarily from their families due to the federal aid created in 1974 entitled the Adoption and Safe Families Act. It offers financial incentives to the states that increase adoption numbers. To receive the adoption incentives or bonuses, local CPS must have more children. They must have more merchandise to sell. Funding is available when a child is placed in a foster home with strangers or placed in a mental health facility and medicated. Parents are victimized by the system that makes a profit for holding children longer and bonuses for not returning children to their parents. This is abuse of power. It is lack of accountability. And it is a growing criminal political phenomenon spreading around the globe. Being poor and lacking proper housing does not mean your children should be removed. CPS has redefined poor to mean psychologically inferior. Therefore, it is in the best interest of the child to be removed. Best interest, of course, has also been redefined at the child's expense. It has been reported over and over that 6 times as many children die in foster care than in the general public. Once a child is legally kidnapped and placed in official safety, the child is far more likely to suffer abuse, including sexual molestation and/or rape. Case workers and social workers are often guilty of fraud. They withhold and destroy evidence, and they seek wrongly to terminate parental rights while being protected by state immunity. There is a huge bureaucracy made up of judges, court-appointed attorneys, guardian ad litems, social workers, state employees, court investigators, therapists, psychologists, psychiatrists, foster parents, adoptive parents, and on, who are looking to the children in state care for their job security. Judges have control over private living arrangements and income of 48.3 million Americans. The United States Census Bureau reported in 2002 that $40 billion in transfer payments were made between households of custody parents and other parents. That money, $40 billion, is under the direction and control of family court judges in environments covered with confidentiality laws that protect the wrong people. Fathers are victims of this unjust system. Child support payments, even without having visits with their children, are choking the very life out of fathers. 3 fathers, of whom I am aware and have been in touch with, committed suicide in the last 12 months because they lost the opportunity to even visit with their children.
In which a 4-year-old child was taken from his parents through an emergency removal. And the really discerning thing about it was there was nobody from CPS, the hospital, the doctor, or the court that had ever seen or talked to the child, the parent, neighbors, relatives, or anybody that had any first-hand knowledge of any wrongdoing. And they took the child and started the process for permanently terminating parental rights.
We've got this on audio, him admitting to perjuring himself on a court document. And we take this to the sheriff, and the sheriff says, sorry, CPS agents are immune in their duties, acting in their office and in their duties. We can't go after them. And he called the district attorney and the attorney general. They say, sorry, we can't do anything until there's a police report. And so in fact, CPS agents are allowed to lie, to perjure themselves under oath to steal your children.
Single mothers who lost their children and who have been without their children for months on end now over false drug tests, fabricated drug test reports.
Michigan's Child Protective Services Agency has 60 days to submit a plan to correct failures.
One of the department's child protective investigators was making it up, falsifying reports, leaving dozens of kids at risk.
Just last year, 98 children who had prior contact with DCFS died. Today's report comes the same day state lawmakers begin to work on reforms in the wake of yet another child's tragic death.
There is a lawsuit in West Virginia that accuses state organizations of not properly caring for kids in foster care. The suit claims that children were neglected, given dangerous placements, and not given the proper resources.
But about 14% of the caseworkers falsified a record. or lied about checking in on a child in DFACS custody, and 42% were negligent and inefficient in performing their assigned duty.
Representative who's on the CPS Oversight Committee also demanded change. She told ABC 15's Navita Fergani the state needs to overhaul the entire CPS system. A lot of people are calling for something to be done here, Navita.
That's right. State Senator Leah Landrum Taylor tells me she's disgusted